Most contractor businesses are losing jobs every single week. And the crazy part is, most of them don't even realize it. It's not because they need more leads, it's because their lead handling system is broken. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5-part system serious contractors install so every call, text, and website lead actually gets handled properly. Because if your phone rings 20 times this week, but only a handful turn into jobs, the problem usually isn't traffic. It's what happens after the phone rings. Think about how this usually works in a contractor business. A customer calls. If you're free, you answer. If you're on a job, it goes to voicemail. Maybe you call them back later. Maybe you forget. Maybe by the time you call them back, they've already hired someone else. Now, that's not because you're bad at business. It's because the business is relying on memory and hustle instead of systems. And that creates something most contractors never measure, what I call silent lead leakage. Opportunities are coming in, but they disappear before they ever turn into jobs. And here's the interesting part. Most contractors are losing jobs at the exact same point in their process. I'll show you where that usually happens in a minute. After working with a lot of contractor businesses, one thing becomes really obvious. Most of them are busier than they've ever been, but the back end of the business is still running on memory and hustle. The businesses that operate differently install something simple, a lead handling system, meaning every call, every text, every inquiry follows the same process. Nothing gets lost. Nothing depends on remembering later. There are 5 parts to this system, and once you see it, you'll probably recognize exactly where leads are slipping through the cracks in your business. Let's walk through them. The first part is lead capture. Where are your leads actually coming from? Phone calls, website forms, Google profile messages, text messages, sometimes Facebook or other platforms. Now here's the problem. Most contractors capture these in 5 different places: calls on their phone, forms in email, messages somewhere else, notifications everywhere. It's scattered. It becomes almost impossible to track what's happening. Leads get forgotten. Conversations disappear. So the first step in a real system is simple. Everything comes into one place, one inbox, one system. Now nothing slips through the cracks. But capturing the lead is only the beginning, because the next step is actually where a lot of contractors lose the job. There's a moment that decides whether you get hired or not, and it usually happens in the first 30 seconds. Think about how homeowners behave. They search for a contractor. They call the first one. If nobody answers, they call the next one. Most homeowners will call 3 contractors in a row. Whoever responds first usually wins the conversation. So the goal isn't to be available 24 hours a day. The goal is to make sure every lead gets acknowledged immediately, even if you're on a job. That one change alone keeps a lot more conversations alive. Now, once that conversation starts, there's another problem contractors run into, and it's something everyone's experienced: phone tag. Here's the typical scenario. Someone calls, you miss the call, you call them back later, they miss your call. Now you're both chasing each other around all day. Meanwhile, they're probably talking to 2 other contractors. This is where deals quietly fall apart. A better system moves the conversation into text messaging. Text lets the homeowner reply when it's convenient. They don't have to stop what they're doing, and the conversation keeps moving forward. Now, once that conversation starts, there's another place where a lot of money disappears in contractor businesses, and it's surprisingly common. The next part of the system is follow-up, and this is one of the biggest leaks in most contractor businesses, because the truth is, a lot of leads don't convert immediately. They're comparing options. They're waiting on a spouse. They're gathering quotes, but contractors rarely follow up consistently. Not because they don't care, because they're busy. And when the system depends on remembering later, it usually doesn't happen. So the lead goes cold, and the job goes somewhere else. A proper system handles follow-up automatically. Now leads don't disappear just because you forgot. And once the first 4 parts of the system are working together, something interesting happens. By the time the homeowner actually talks to you, they've already experienced a professional process. Their call was acknowledged quickly. Their questions got answered. The conversation kept moving. So now the call isn't about convincing them. It's about confirming the details. This is when sales conversations get a lot easier, because the system has already done most of the work. And this is also why a lot of contractor marketing feels random. Some months are busy, some months are slow, some leads convert, some disappear, because marketing amplifies whatever system already exists. If the system is broken, more leads just create more chaos. But when the system is installed first, every lead gets handled properly, and everything you do later works better. If you're watching this and realizing your business doesn't really have this system yet, you're not alone. Most contractors don't, but if you want to see how this type of system would actually work inside your business, click the link below to watch a demo. You can see how our system works and compare it to how your calls and leads are currently being handled. You will also discover where things might be slipping through the cracks, and if it makes sense, we can install the system from there.